Back in the garage, back in the garage, back in the garage today, back in the garage. Alright guys, back in the garage tonight. Should be a pretty simple task. Got to change the oil on the Super Adventure. Alright, so tonight we're doing the 1,000-kilometer first oil change on this. 620 miles if you're in the good old US of A.
Mad now. I don't think Jimmy's going to be held responsible.
Let me show you a few things you're going to need. Alright, so you're obviously going to need motor oil. This is the same motor oil that comes in it from the factory. That's what I'm going to use this go round. You're going to need an oil filter. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but this is the factory KTM filter. I'm also going to be lubing the chain later, so I've got some chain lube. In addition to your tools, which I'll go over later, going to need something to catch the oil in, and some paper towels are always a good idea to have. Okay, so the owner's and service manual says to take this engine guard off first. Pretty easy to get off there. I've already removed this bolt. I'm taking this bolt out now, and you can see this thing is already loosened up. And this is your engine guard removed. Next up for removal is the drain plug. Now if you look, you can see the exhaust pipe is right underneath there. So I think I'm going to fabricate something up here because I don't want that hot oil going right over that hot pipe. Okay, I have no idea how well my little foil funnel is going to work, but we'll test it out. This is a 13 millimeter. Yep, some of it's pouring out. Hopefully I can do a little bit better job with my my little funnel next time, but it did keep it off the pipe, and that's what I was most concerned with. Now next up, I'm going to pull out these two bolts that'll allow me to get to the oil filter. Just pop the oil filter cover off. Now actually got to pull the oil filter itself out. I got to get this filter out. Now they do make a pair of pliers that open in reverse that would make this easy. Unfortunately, it's one of the tools I don't have, so I'm just going to be really careful about pulling it out here with this screwdriver, and we'll see what we can do. We also have this drain plug right here, which is just like the other one back there, being that it is 13 millimeter. We're going to pull this one out. Note to self, I'm going to need a much bigger drain pan, probably one like for a car in the future with a little bit. I mean, this one is for a car, but just something with a much bigger mouth on it, because you can see what's happening here. What a mess. There we go. So while the oil's draining, I got to check these magnets, make sure they're clean, make sure the screens are clean, and then just make sure these O-rings aren't damaged. Put a little bit of lubrication on them. I'm going to be reusing these screens. I'm not replacing all this first go round. We might replace them next oil change, but not right now. For the most part, actually the oil looked great. There was a little bit on the magnets on these two, but nothing major. The screens look good, got them cleaned up. Next thing I'm going to do is torque these back down. It's supposed to be 14.8 foot-pounds of torque. We'll just call it 15. Alright, got those bolts torqued down. Next thing we're going to do is insert the oil filter. Make sure you put it in the right way. This is what the other end looks like. That end goes in like that. I'll just pop into place. Do it by hand. Don't press it any harder than that. Make sure you get some lubricant going around this O-ring, and then make sure it goes in like this, so you can kind of read where it says oil filter. Just press that right up there. And then we're going to put those bolts back in. It does say 4.4 pounds. I'm just going to hand tighten them. Now we're going to come back around to this side and put the engine cover back on, and then we'll be ready to fill this thing back up. Alright, we got that back on. Now let's go put some oil in it. I'm going to loosen up our filler cap right here. Put a funnel down in there, and it's going to take 3.8 quarts is what it's calling for. Alright, got the oil in, started her up. You can see it's up there pretty much to the top. Good to go. So, just one more quick thing. You have to reset the service light once you get done. So what you'll do is you'll go over to your settings menu. You'll push down on these two arrows, and then this is going to pop up. Now you can see where I've already set mine for 15,000 kilometers or 12 months from now. Pretty easy to set, and that'll reset your warning light or service light. Alright guys, so I do have a few more things to check on this KTM 1290 Super Adventure as part of the first 600-mile break-in. I'm going to do that off camera. The purpose of today's video was just to show how to change the oil. If you did enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, sorry about that. If you're not a subscriber, I look forward to you being one, and I will talk to you guys again soon. it.